Discover the incredible transformation. Now I have a real mother, a touching journey unveiled. Emma stood in the kitchen, the faint hum of neighborhood chatter filtering through the cracked window. The sunlight caught the dust dancing in the air, a reminder of the dirt she'd scrubbed from countless homes, dreaming of something better. She clenched a dish towel, the fabric damp from her last shift at the diner. Each day was a battle, a relentless grind of waiting tables, cleaning, and comforting her two small children, Mia and Noah. The weight of her past pressed down like a heavy cloak, making her feel invisible against the backdrop of wealth that surrounded her ramshackle home. "You won't understand," she often whispered to herself, staring out at the grand houses with their manicured lawns and shining SUVs. Their glances were sharp, full of judgment, and Emma could feel the chill of it as they passed by, like winter's breath on her skin. Then there was Ruth, her elderly neighbor, who sat on her porch every afternoon, somehow managing to glow with warmth despite the encroaching shadows of grief. Ruth had a gift for remembering every children's birthday, every school play, always asking about Mia and Noah with a genuine smile that reached her eyes. Emma couldn't help but feel a tug of longing every time Ruth talked about how she'd spent hours at the park with her own grandchildren, their laughter echoing under the sun. Emma dreamed of giving her children experiences like that, stability, affection, a real mother who could be both strong and soft. The struggle was tiring. Mia often caught her mother's eye and said, "Mom, why can't we have a big house too?" The question sliced through Emma's heart, echoing her own fears about being enough. And then there was Sarah, just a name in the back of her mind, the mother Emma never learned to forgive, for walking away, for her own pursuit of happiness that left Emma to carry the burdens alone. "A mother should never leave," Mia would say in her innocent way, igniting a fire in Emma that threatened to consume her. One Sunday morning, Ruth's laughter was replaced with silence. The bad news hit like a cold wave crashing ashore. She had lost her beloved dog, Benny, her companion for years. Emma felt the ripples of sadness penetrating her soul and raced over to Ruth, her heart beating with empathy. Ruth looked so fragile, the thick glasses perched on her nose magnifying the tears in her eyes. In that moment of shared grief, Emma felt a spark of clarity. She called on the townsfolk and organized a tribute for Ruth. "Let's show her the love she's always given us," she exclaimed, her voice steady and unwavering. Slowly but surely, the community rallied. The upscale families, once adversaries, now looked on with newfound respect. Emma felt a surge of power, her spirit ignited, as if the dreams of her childhood were flaring up like the grill in the diner, lively and vibrant. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Emma passionately led the effort to bring cheer back to Ruth's life, a chance encounter with Sarah surfaced from the depths of her mind. She had seen her mother's photograph in a local store window, a fleeting moment frozen in time. Emotion swirled inside Emma like a tornado. Could it be possible? What would she even say? The longing for connection twisted with the anger of betrayal, spinning her thoughts. The day to confront Sarah neared, and though fear loomed over her, one thought anchored Emma's heart. Was there still a chance for healing? As she gathered her courage to seek closure, Mia and Noah's innocent smiles reminded her of the fragility of love, an unbreakable bond worth fighting for. Emma steeled herself for the emotional weight that lay ahead, a collision of fears and hopes, each heartbeat a reminder that change was coming. Emma's heart raced as the day dawned, cloaked in a misty haze that mirrored her apprehension. She stood before the mirror, taking in the reflection of a woman torn between anger and hope. Mia and Noah were still sleeping, blissfully unaware of the storm that was brewing in their mother's heart. The thought of seeing Sarah again, the woman who had once abandoned her, was almost unbearable. Yet, at that moment, Emma knew she had to try. As she stepped out of her modest home, the air felt thick with a weight she couldn't shake. The vibrant colors of spring seemed to taunt her with their fresh beginnings, amplifying her anxiety. Each step toward the small cafe where Sarah worked felt like walking through molasses. Emma's thoughts spiraled. What if Sarah hadn't changed? What if she still felt the same selfishness that had driven her away all those years ago? As she approached the cafe, Emma spotted Ruth seated at a corner table. The comforting sight of her friend momentarily lightened her heart. Ruth looked up and smiled warmly, a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. "You'll be okay, dear," she said softly, as if sensing the tension radiating from Emma. "Just be honest. That's all you can do." With a deep breath, Emma pushed the cafe door open. The bell jingled, breaking through the hushed conversations. It felt like entering a different world, one filled with laughter and light, everything that had felt lost in her life. She could see Sarah behind the counter, taking orders, her hair pulled back neatly, a familiar mixture of warmth and coolness about her. The sight of her mother struck Emma like lightning. For a moment, the years melted away, and the child inside her wanted to reach out. But that instinct was drowned in memories of betrayal. Does she even want to see me? Emma's pulse quickened, and she felt the boundaries of her resolve begin to crack. As she walked up, Sarah looked up, and their eyes locked. Emma's breath caught in her throat. All the emotions, the unanswered questions, and deep-seated anger spilled over her heart. But something new flickered in Sarah's gaze. There was remorse there, an acknowledgement of a past that neither could escape. "Emma," Sarah began, her voice trembling slightly, as if testing the waters of a fragile bridge. I didn't expect to see you here." "I came because I wanted to talk," Emma replied, her voice surprisingly steady. "I think we need to." The air around them felt electric, crackling with the promise of vulnerability. Patrons at nearby tables paused to glance their way, sensing the rawness in the moment. Emma felt both exposed and alive, standing at the precipice of a conversation that could either mend or shatter the remnants of her fractured family. "Okay," Sarah said, hesitantly, wiping her hands on her apron. "Let's talk." As they sat down, Emma noticed the shadows under Sarah's eyes, signs of age, but more than that, years of regret. Sarah looked different, yet the same, a reminder of the choices that had defined their lives. Emma felt her heart soften, despite the anger that still simmered within. "Before I say anything," Emma began, her voice thick with emotion, "I want you to know that my children need a real mother. I want to offer them love, but first I need to understand why you left." For a moment, silence lingered between them, heavy with years of hurt and longing. Sarah's eyes shimmered with unshed tears as she began to speak. Emma realized she was on the brink of discovering things about her mother, her past, and even herself that could change everything she thought she knew. But as Sarah opened her mouth to share the secrets that had weighed her down for so long, the world around them seemed to disappear, leaving only the two of them tied by a thread of fragile hope. What would Sarah reveal that could possibly explain the years of pain? Emma's heart raced as the moment of truth drew closer. Would this conversation heal them, or would it tear them apart once and for all? Sarah took a deep breath, the kind that trembled in her chest, and the air grew thick with emotion. "Emma, I never wanted to leave you," she started. her voice barely above a whisper. "You have to believe me. It's not what it looks like." "What does it look like, Mom?" Emma's voice cracked, mingling anger with hurt. "I lived through years of wondering why you didn't want me, why you walked away." "I felt trapped," Sarah admitted, honesty in her eyes catching Emma off guard. "I was so young, and I thought leaving would be better for both of us. I thought—" She paused, frustration flickering in her features. "I was foolish. It wasn't better. It was selfish." The words hung in the air, heavy and painful. Emma's heart pounded. She needed to know more. "Selfish? You took my childhood from me. Do you even know what that felt like?" "I do. I think about it every day," Sarah said, her voice breaking, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. "I've spent years in therapy trying to understand my own choices. I've been living with that guilt." Emma saw it now, a mother broken by her own decisions. Still, anger flickered through the cracks of her empathy. "But you could have tried, Sarah. You could have reached out. We could have figured it out." "I know, I should have," Sarah interjected, "but I didn't know how to face you. I was terrified." She took another breath before her voice steadied, each word more resolute. "I'm here now, Emma. I want to make things right. I want to be a part of your life and your children's lives." Emma studied her mother, searching for the sincerity behind her words. The years of absence tainted her view, but part of her, a small, hopeful part, wanted to believe the transformation was real. The ache in her heart felt familiar, yet she couldn't shake a lingering doubt. "What makes you different now? What's changed?" "I've changed," Sarah replied, leaning closer. "I've spent years learning how to be a better person. I never wanted to be the woman who abandoned her child. I was scared and immature." The cafe around them buzzed with life, but in that moment, Emma felt like the only two people in the world. "You can't expect me to just forgive and forget, Mom. I have 2 kids who deserve more than what you gave me." "I don't expect that," Sarah said, her voice low and steady. "I just want a chance to show you I can do better, to be there for them, for you, as I should have been all along." Emma fought the urge to cry. The space between them felt charged, a fragile dance of reconciliation and doubt. "Do my kids even want you?" "Let me meet them. Let me show them who I am now. Maybe they can see it too," Sarah replied, voice full of vulnerability. Emma looked down, heart racing with the weight of her next words. "It's not just about me anymore. They've been through enough." "Then let me be the one to help heal that," Sarah begged, leaning forward. "I want to make it right." A part of Emma longed for that connection, for the mother she never had. But the thought of exposing Mia and Noah to potential heartbreak gripped her with fear. The silence stretched as she studied Sarah, searching for a sign of truth. "Maybe, just maybe, we can try," Emma finally whispered, her voice trembling. As soon as the words left her lips, the door of the cafe swung open, ushering in a sudden gust of wind and an unexpected visitor, an old friend from her past. Emma's heart dropped as she recognized the face that could change everything. Would this new twist shatter her fragile hope for a family again? Or would it bind them together in ways she could never foresee? Emma's breath caught in her throat as she locked eyes with the stranger who had just walked in. It was Jenna, her childhood best friend, the one who had been there through thick and thin before Sarah's departure had altered the very fabric of her life. Jenna's bright smile had always lit up the darkest of days, but now the joy felt like a ghost in the shadows of Emma's uncertainty. "Jenna?" she whispered, disbelief washing over her like a wave. "Emma! Oh my gosh!" Jenna rushed over, arms wide open. Emma felt an unexpected warmth as they embraced, despite the storm brewing inside her. But as Jenna pulled back, her expression shifted to concern. "You look different. What's going on? Emma glanced over at Sarah, who was watching the reunion with a mixture of surprise and unease. Just a long story, Emma managed. What's happening? Jenna asked, taking a step back to give Emma a searching look. You seem tense. I thought we left high school drama behind. With a shaky breath, Emma glanced back at Sarah. It's about my mom. She's back. Jenna's eyes widened, and a wave of empathy washed over her. Oh, Emma, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure how to feel, Emma admitted, the weight of her conflicting emotions pulling at her. She wants to be in my life again, in my kids' lives. But, Jenna prompted gently. But what if it all goes wrong? What if she walks away again? My kids don't deserve that. I've fought too hard to keep them safe, Emma confessed, her voice trembling. Hey, Jenna said softly, grabbing her friend's shoulders. You've been through so much. You get to decide what's best for you and them. If you don't feel ready, that's okay. Don't rush into anything. Maybe I should just throw her out the door, Emma said, the words spilling out in a blend of anger and confusion. She tried to keep her voice steady, but felt the sting of tears gathering in her eyes. She broke my heart once. Who's to say she won't do it again? Jenna shook her head. That's fair, but wouldn't it be worth hearing her out? Maybe she's really changed. Emma mulled it over. Was it worth risking another heartbreak? Could Sarah truly be different this time? With Jenna by her side, she felt a flicker of hope amid the chaos. Just then, Sarah cleared her throat softly, breaking into Emma's spiraling thoughts. Emma, she said gently, her voice earnest, I know what I did was wrong, and I won't ever deny that. But I've changed, and I want to show you that I can be something for you and your kids. Emma glanced back at Jenna, who nodded encouragingly. What if this new chance could mend not only her past, but help create a better future for Mia and Noah? With a shake of her head, Emma sighed. It's just a lot to take in. Let's take it one step at a time, Jenna suggested, looking between the two women. Sarah's eyes glimmered with hope as she broke the tension. Why don't I meet the Tids? Just the three of you. No pressure, no expectations. Just a chance for me to show you I'm here. Emma hesitated, her heart battling with her head. Could she take that leap once more? Could she allow her children the opportunity to know a grandmother, no matter how uncertain? As she mulled over the possibilities, another familiar face stepped through the door, a face that promised oodles of complications. Emma's stomach sank. What now? Would this old connection derail everything? The moment of truth had arrived, and Emma knew she couldn't avoid it any longer. Let's see where this goes, Emma finally said, her heart racing. Emma's heart thudded loudly in her chest as she turned to face the newcomer. Mike, her high school crush, the boy who had once held her hand under the bleachers and whispered hopeful promises. It didn't feel like a coincidence. How could it? The very essence of her past was converging at this moment. Mike, she breathed, hope and fear intertwining like vines. He looked just as she remembered, his dark curls framing a face that still held that boyish charm. But something in his eyes spoke of maturity, of battles fought and scars earned. Emma, it's been a while, he exclaimed, walking toward her with that familiar grin. I heard you open this place up. I had to come by. His presence felt like a spark, igniting a flurry of old memories. But Emma's thoughts spiraled back to the present, the chaos swirling in the air around her. Sarah, Jenna, the kids, all were moments away from colliding into a mess of emotions. Yeah, just busy, she managed, trying to keep her tone light as she glanced nervously at Jenna and Sarah. Busy is good. It means you're doing something right. He chuckled softly, glancing over his shoulder at Sarah. Didn't expect to see you here after everything. The words hung in the air like a weighted blanket, and Emma felt her stomach churn. She could feel Sarah tense up beside her at that comment. Emma shifted uncomfortably, ignoring the sparks of nostalgia and the gut feeling that maybe Mike could complicate things even further. "I'm glad to see you, Mike. It brings back memories." "Good ones, I hope," he replied, his tone sincere. "Most of them, yes," she replied, forcing a smile as Jenna watched intently, her expression a mix of encouragement and caution. "I want to hear all of them, maybe over coffee sometime." His smile widened, eyes glistening with a hint of mischief. Emma hesitated. Did she have space in her life for coffee dates and old flames? Just as she started to ponder, Sarah's voice cut through the haze. "If you're considering that, it might be best to sort a few things out first," she said lightly, trying to diffuse the tension. Jenna nodded. A knowing look passed between her and Emma, but Emma felt conflicted. The warmth radiating from Mike rubbed against the heaviness Sarah brought into the room. This was too much, too soon. She couldn't draw lines between all the history sitting before her. "Maybe we could figure things out over coffee after a family meeting," Emma interjected, her heart racing as she took a tentative step toward Sarah. "I mean, that's what we had planned, right?" For a moment, silence enveloped them. The weight of the tension in the room stretched like a taut string, ready to snap. Sarah's eyes softened somewhat, and she took a deep breath. "Of course, I want to respect whatever boundaries you have, Emma," she said quietly, glancing at the ground. "I just really want the chance to be a part of your lives again." Emma's stomach twisted again. Sarah's desire was palpable, but she felt the walls of protection she'd built around her children. Would letting Sarah back in turn her world upside down? Outside, a sudden crash echoed through the cafe, pulling everyone's attention. Emma's heart sank again, but this time with a flicker of fear. She steadied herself and glanced at Jenna, who looked equally alarmed. "Let's find out what that was," Jenna suggested, her eyes darting to the exit. As they approached the door, Emma felt the veins of tension merging, the weight of the past, the mess of the present, and the uncertain future ahead. What lay beyond that door could change everything again. Would it take her back to the comforts of familiarity or push her deeper into the chaos? Emma held her breath, desperate to know what would come next. Emma pushed the door open with a shaky hand, her breath hitching at the sudden shift in atmosphere. Outside, the bustling street was thrown into a kaleidoscope of confusion. A delivery truck had overturned, boxes spilling onto the pavement like oversized toys. Shouts filled the air, people rushing to assist, their faces a mix of concern and curiosity. "Wow, what a mess," Jake, the cafe's barista, exclaimed as he joined them at the door. Emma's heart raced, distraction offering her a momentary reprieve from everything swirling inside her. "Should we help?" she asked, glancing back at Sarah, who lingered behind, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. "Yes, let's do it," Jenna urged, determination in her voice as she took a step forward. They flocked together, an odd mix of emotions weaving through them all. As they approached the scene, Emma felt a rush, a mix of adrenaline and purpose pulsing through her. The chaos opened a door, one that pulled her into action, away from the intimate tension of their previous conversation. "Let's get these boxes arranged," Mike suggested, sliding beside her. They knelt to gather the fallen items, and in this movement, the distance between them seemed to shrink, a bond rekindling with shared effort. For a fleeting moment, laughter pierced through the tension. A child giggled from a distance as an elderly man carefully navigated the mess, trying to avoid a box with bright, colorful stuffed animals. Emma exchanged glances with Mike, and for an instant, the weight of old worries lifted. But that lightness was short-lived. Emma caught a glimpse of Sarah in the crowd, standing off to the side, her posture rigid. Her expression flickered between hope and despair, a reminder of everything unresolved. "Emma, over here," Jenna called, waving her over. "They need someone to calm the crowd." Emma hesitated. She recognized the call to action, but it felt like a weight pulling her in two directions, a chance to help, yet an urge to remain close to those she loved. "Go on," Mike encouraged, gentle pressure on her shoulder. "I'll keep things moving here." With a nod, Emma made her way to Jenna, who was balancing a few loose boxes. They began organizing and calming anxious folks, urging them to step back. Emma found herself slipping into a familiar role, one she hadn't embraced since her life had become so complicated. As they worked, Jenna leaned in. "You okay? This is a lot, isn't it?" Emma sighed, her heart aching as she looked over at Sarah again. "It is. I can't shake the feeling that everything is about to change." "Sometimes change is good," Jenna replied, her gaze unwavering. "Sometimes it can lead to something beautiful." Just then, a little boy tugged at her pant leg. "Miss, could you help me get my teddy bear?" His eyes wide with concern. "Of course," Emma replied, crouching down to meet him. She scanned the area, spotting a small, plush bear wedged under a pile of cardboard. Retrieving it, the boy's face lit up, and he hugged her tightly, gratitude pouring from him. In that moment, something shifted inside Emma. The simple act of helping transformed her perspective. For a mere second, she let go of her fears and embraced the warmth of connection, much like the moments she once shared with Mike so long ago. As she stood, the weightlessness faded, replaced by the reality of her tangled life. She glanced back at Sarah, who was now being approached by a couple of locals, their faces a mixture of understanding and empathy. Emma's stomach twisted again, the intertwining of past heartaches and present resolutions blurring the line of what came next. "Are you ready for this?" she whispered to herself, uncertainty mounting. What if the truth that lay behind those crisp cardboard boxes was more than she could handle? A soft growl from the truck signified the night wasn't over, bringing the fear back to her chest. As the crowd merged with their own tangled stories, Emma braced herself for the daunting conversation ahead that even the spilled boxes couldn't hold back. Would she find courage to let Sarah back into her life? Or would the chaos sweep her away once again? Emma took a deep breath, her heart clanging like a bell in her chest. The laughter and shouts around her seemed to fade as she zeroed in on Sarah. She watched her friend, still rigid, her brows drawn tight, talking with a couple of the townsfolk who looked concerned. Why was it so hard to bridge that gap between them? "Hey, I think they need help over there, too." Jenna pointed toward a gathering of people near the truck. Emma couldn't ignore the urge to help, even if her emotional struggles were screaming at her to run the other way. Nodding, she followed Jenna to the crowd. As they arrived, a woman stood up, brushing dirt off her hands. "We need to clear this area to make sure no one else gets hurt," she said, frustration evident in her voice. Emma felt the weight of the situation thrumming in the air. Together, they began directing people away from the precarious stacks of boxes, while Mike and others worked on lifting the truck back into a safer position. It was a concert of effort, everyone moving in sync. The adrenaline surged again. "Emma!" Her heart skipped a beat at the shout. It was Sarah, finally breaking free from her conversation. She approached, uncertainty reflected in her eyes. "Hi," Emma managed, her throat tight. The air between them was thick with unsaid words. "I've been trying to talk to you," Sarah said, her voice barely rising above the noise. "Now?" Emma asked, half exasperated, half longing. The world felt so chaotic, yet somehow they stood as though in a bubble, everything else vanishing for a moment. "Can we go somewhere private?" Sarah pleaded, her voice cracking. The chaos around them felt overwhelming, but the tension simmering between Emma and Sarah was palpable. Should she step away right now? The crowd swirled and buzzed around her, lives intertwining around the broken boxes, and yet it felt like this one moment held more significance than all of it. "Sure," Emma whispered, aware their lives were hanging in the balance, but also beckoned by curiosity and dread. As they moved a few yards away, Emma could still hear fragments of noise behind them, but it faded into the background like an old song. "This needs to be said," Sarah began, her gaze breaking from Emma's. "Listen, Emma stumbled over her words. She wanted to express everything that coursed through her, the kindness, the hurt, the love lost and found. But silence reigned, filled only by the distant cries for help. "I've needed you in my life, and I didn't know how to reach you," Sarah finally said, her voice trembling slightly. "When you left," her confession hung in the air, heavy with remorse. In that intense moment, Emma's mind flashed back to all that had happened, the pain, the misunderstandings, the love they once shared like an unbreakable thread. They were once so close, and now? Now they stood on the brink of something more profound. Emma glanced back at the chaos, a stark contrast to the tenderness of their reunion. "I thought I'd push you away for good," she said, emotions tumbling out. "That maybe you didn't want me anymore." The weight of their words spiraled around them, two friends caught in the eye of a storm, so close yet so far apart. "I'm afraid that was me," Sarah confessed, her eyes glistening. Just then, another loud crash echoed from the truck, shaking the ground beneath them. They both turned, startled, as fear joined the complexities of their conversation. Emma stirred with uncertainty again. "Is that a sign?" Emma asked, half-jokingly, trying to ease the tension, yet dread filled the silence. "Or a signal," Sarah replied, her voice softer but filled with determination. "It's not just chaos out here, it's chaos in here too." She placed a hand over her heart, and Emma felt her walls begin to shatter, revealing the tenderness behind her own guarded feelings. But before she could respond, she felt it, the itch of unspoken truths itching to be revealed, the potential for change hanging in the balance, thicker than the chaos around them. "Emma," Sarah said, drawing closer, "are you ready to talk about what happened? Because I want you back in my life, really back." With the night wounding through the uncertainty, they stood at an emotional crossroads, a moment brimming with possibility or heartache. Would they dare to heal the wounds of the past, or would the chaos sweep them apart once again? Emma's breath hitched as she looked into Sarah's eyes, entangled in a battle between hope and fear. Every part of her wanted to reach out, to bridge that painful gap that had seemed unassailable for so long. Yet the weight of all the moments they'd lost together loomed over them like a thick fog. Emma started, but her voice faltered. She felt the warmth of Sarah's presence beside her, the comforting familiarity mingled with the ache of the past. She had to find the right words. "I've missed you, Sarah, more than I can explain." An unexpected sense of calm washed over Sarah's face. "I thought it was just me," she admitted, the corners of her lips trying to form a smile. "You have no idea how many times I stared at my phone, wanting to reach out, but I was afraid you'd push me away." "That's why I didn't call," Emma blurted out, steeling herself against the vulnerability. "I thought if I cut ties, it'd be easier for both of us. I didn't want to be a burden." Sarah's brow furrowed. "Emma, you could never be a burden. I was just scared that our friendship was shattered beyond repair." She hesitated, looking as if she was reconsidering her next words. "If you're ready to open up, I'll be here. I don't want to lose you again." The words hung between them like a lifeline. Emma felt an overwhelming mix of relief and fear. She was finally given the opportunity to talk openly, to confront the silence that had grown like a chasm between them. But the baggage weighed heavily on her heart. Years of pain, pride, and reluctance pressed against her chest. "What if we aren't the same people anymore?" Emma threw out, the fear spilling from her lips. What if the connection we had just doesn't exist anymore? It will always exist, Sarah insisted, stepping closer, wiping the tear that had slipped down her cheek without her notice. Maybe we aren't the same, but we can be something new, something better. With those words, it clicked for Emma. This was more than about friendship. It was about healing, forgiveness, about transforming their chaos into something beautiful. Maybe they could build a new bond from the ashes of their past. I want that, Emma whispered, her heart racing. I want to try. Before she could finish, another crash distracted them. The crowd erupted with shouts, urgent voices rising again. The feeling of safety they'd just crafted began to buckle under the weight of reality, like the uncertainty of their surroundings spilling into their fragile moment. Let's help them, Emma said, suddenly aware of the dwindling moments. The urgency, the chaos outside their little bubble demanded their attention. But in her heart, a fire ignited at the thought of addressing the chaos within herself and forging ahead with Sarah by her side. As they turned toward the crowd, Emma exchanged a glance with Sarah. A wordless promise of support passed between them. They were still scared, still uncertain, but together they could face whatever chaos lay ahead, both inside and outside. They ran back, their hearts racing, blending back into the frenzy of helping hands and frantic voices. Emma's mind buzzed with determination. They would meet again, find a way to confront the past, and emerge through it stronger. But as the night wore on, another crash echoed, louder than before. What was happening? Emma's heart sank. Would they have to deal with more chaos before they could find peace? The world around them spun with uncertainty, but deep down, Emma knew something was changing, something hopeful, and she couldn't shake the feeling that this night was only the beginning of something profound. Would they be ready to face it together? The crowd surged, a living entity of panic and confusion, pushing and pulling in all directions. Emma felt a rush of adrenaline as she grabbed Sarah's hand, anchoring them both amidst the chaos. Over there, Sarah shouted, pointing toward a small group struggling with a fallen barricade. Without hesitation, they dashed towards the scene, each heartbeat resonating with purpose. The noise of shouts, cries for help, and the clamor of overturned objects enveloped them, but only their shared resolve pierced through the overwhelming din. Emma's thoughts raced, but all she could focus on was the task at hand. They reached the group, and Emma knelt beside a woman cradling a small boy. The boy's face was streaked with dirt and tears, his eyes wide with fear. Emma felt a pang in her chest. She remembered the innocence of childhood. "Hey there, buddy," she said, forcing a gentle smile. "What's your name?" "Jack," the boy whispered, glancing between Emma and Sarah, searching for reassurance. "Jack, we're going to get you safe, okay?" Emma assured him, her voice unwavering. Jack nodded, his small frame trembling but trusting. "Follow my lead," Sarah murmured to Emma, squeezing her hand. They exchanged a determined look and sprang into action, lifting part of the barricade together. With the help of other bystanders, they slowly cleared a path, directing frightened spectators to safety. As they worked, Emma's heartbeat synced with the frantic energy surrounding them. The strength of shared purpose filled her with resolve, and in that moment she felt Sarah's presence beside her as a guiding light. "Almost there," Sarah urged as they shifted the last piece of debris aside. A collective sigh broke out from the group around them, and a rush of relief flooded Emma's chest. Then it hit her, the weight of the moment. She turned to Sarah, their eyes locking again, and for the first time tonight, she saw raw admiration reflected back at her. "See," Sarah said between breaths, "we can do this together." The world slowed as they shared that fleeting moment, surrounded by chaos, yet cocooned in understanding. Emma leaned back against a solid wall, panting, as she watched Jack run toward his parents, their reunion tender and full of gratitude. A wave of warmth washed over her. Was this what healing felt like? But just as quickly, the moment shifted, and Emma's heart dropped again. A scream cut through the air, shattering the fragile tranquility they had just built. Another round of chaos erupted as people turned toward the disturbance. "Stay close," Emma yelled to Sarah, barely keeping her voice steady. They pressed through the crowd, hearts pounding, uncertainty creeping back in. As they neared the scene, Emma's gut tightened. A figure loomed ahead, causing panic as others scrambled away. Emma could see the glint of something in the figure's hand, a weapon. Her breath caught, eyes widening, pulse racing faster than ever. Fear washed over her in icy waves, yet she felt Sarah beside her, grounded. "Emma," Sarah's voice broke through the tension, firm yet trembling. "We need to get people out of here, now." Nodding, Emma turned into action again. Each footfall felt heavier than the last, but the spark of hope ignited in her. This could be a moment to overcome together. But as they moved, the question loomed large in Emma's mind. Could they truly face what lay ahead? Would confronting the danger outside bring them closer or tear them apart again? With the chaos closing in, Emma could only hope that they were ready for whatever was coming next. Emma's heart pounded fiercely in her chest as she braced herself against the cacophony surrounding her. The figure in the distance, vague yet alarming, called for urgent action. Beside her, Sarah breathed heavily, but her resolve was palpable. "We need to stay focused," Emma urged, steeling herself. Just then, a panicked voice pierced through the crowd. A mother cried out as her child stumbled, lost in the throng. Without a second thought, Emma grabbed Sarah's hand again, pulling her toward the commotion. "We need to help them." With adrenaline coursing through them, they hurried through the crowd, focusing solely on guiding the frightened mother and her child to safety. As they reached the duo, Emma knelt down, her gaze fixed on the trembling child. "Hey there, what's your name?" The child looked up with wide eyes, quivering. "Lily," she gasped, tears streaking her dirt-smudged cheeks. "Lily, you're okay now. We got you," Emma assured, her voice gentle yet filled with certainty. She glanced up at the frantic mother and saw relief wash over her face. They grasped each other's arms, forming a protective circle. Sarah latched on to Emma's strength. "Let's get them out of here," she said, her eyes sharp with determination. Together, they encouraged Lily to follow, leading the little pack toward the exit where the chaos was slightly less intense. Their hands intertwined like a lifeline, the warmth between them cutting through the turmoil. As they moved through the crowd, they were met with a flood of people trying to escape. Emergency responders arrived just in time, directing everyone with urgency. But Emma could still feel the unsettling weight of the figure hanging in the air. Fear threatened to surface anew, but the reality of the moment anchored her. They managed to reach a safe spot outside the cafe, and Emma finally turned to Sarah. "Did you see how quickly we moved? Together!" she laughed, a bubbling warmth of triumph emerging even amid the lingering anxiety. Sarah smiled back, her eyes sparkling with a mix of pride and relief. "We really did. I mean, can you believe we just helped those people?" But then, as if to underscore their conversation, the noisy chaos from inside flared back up. Emma instinctively gripped Sarah's arm, drawing her closer. "What's happening in there?" she asked, heart racing again. "We can't let it end like this. We need to be sure everyone's okay." Before Sarah could respond, a familiar voice shouted through the crowd. It was Ruth, standing on a makeshift stage made from crates, using her years of experience in community building. "Everyone, if you can hear me, we need to remain calm. The emergency response team is here." Her voice rang clear, and it commanded respect. Emma felt inspired as she watched Ruth confidently guide people toward safety. "We should join her," she urged Sarah, leading the way. Together, they helped direct people away from the remnants of chaos, while Ruth's strong voice echoed reassurance. With every step, Emma felt herself changing. Each moment resonated with a growing hope. The fear within her was giving way to an understanding that, together, they could navigate even the fiercest storms. Standing side by side with Sarah, she felt less lonely than she ever had in years. Finally, the danger subsided. The figure had been apprehended, and the emergency responders had the situation under control. Emma crowded around Ruth, Sarah, and a few townsfolk, ready to hear what was next. Breathless but blessed, they rallied together, everyone now part of something bigger, a tapestry of resilience woven from every small act of kindness. "Look how far we've come," Sarah whispered to Emma, their hands still clasped tightly. Emma nodded, overwhelmed by the surge of gratitude for her newfound understanding of connection and forgiveness, the transformations that had reshaped her life in just one chaotic night. As dusk fell, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Emma couldn't help but see a future unfurling. "We can build a new family," she said suddenly, vulnerability echoing in her voice. "Together, with the kids, with you to show them love after everything. It'll take time, but I'm ready to try." Sarah's eyes shone with tears of joy. "I promise to give them my all." As others rejoiced and the air filled with laughter and relief, Emma turned to look over her shoulder. She found Jenna approaching, with Mike right behind her, both faces glowing with relief and pride. "Wasn't that incredible?" Jenna exclaimed, breathless with excitement. Emma's heart soared. This wasn't just a night of chaos, but a night of rebirth and rekindled connections. "Yes," Emma said, knowing she had found more than support. She found a family enmeshed in soft laughter and shared love. They stood there, united, watching the flickers of joy spread around them. Emma felt a radiant smile crawl across her face, buoyed by transformation and new beginnings. "Let's keep this going," Emma called out to the group, her voice steady and fiery. "A connection can be rebuilt." This time, she wasn't just talking about her past with Sarah, but about a new community, a new family, and a better tomorrow. And just like that, with hope lighting their hearts, Emma knew they were ready for whatever came next. If you've loved this journey of transformation and hope, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support and not miss the next exclusive stories that could change lives. Please leave a like to feed the algorithm and ensure you never miss anything heartwarming again. I want to hear from you in the comments about your thoughts and feelings on this ending. And please share this story instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second. Let's spread this joy.